Wait a minute, I hear something.
Dr. Movie! Dr. Movie! Blueberry Girls! Dr. Movie! Dr. Movie! Yeah!
What's going on, everybody? Just want to kind of give you this quick rundown here of this episode. This is actually going to be another flashback kind of episode because, again, I don't think that I'm going to be able to do it justice versus what was already recorded. And there's a total reason of why I'm doing this. You'll just have to wait till the next day, tomorrow, to find out why. But today's episode is from Short Bus Cinema with myself, the late, great Johnny Krueg. I miss my buddy Johnny. And Lee Russell. And we talk about 1988's Robo Vampire. And so I'm not going to talk much more about it. It's all I got to say is it's Godfrey Ho, so that's all you really need to know about it. And there's a legit reason of why I'm doing this episode. So check it out and be prepared for what comes afterwards. All right, folks, we'll see you at the end.
Let's do it.
Been one short bus all day. Short bus. Been one short bus all day. Short bus. Yes. Gonna see what kind of movie they got today.
Well, hello, everybody. What is going on? It's your old pal, Rick, from Short Bus Cinema. It's been a little bit, but, there's been a lot going on. And being that we're all kind of self-quarantining and all this stuff, we thought, hey, what a great time to quarantine ourselves on the short bus. So, what we've done is, and this has been, I don't know, probably several months in the making because Johnny, my partner Johnny's here. What's up, my brother?
What is up? Hey.
So we've been missing recording a bit, and I was in the middle of like really, really extreme busy time for me. Always February, March are usually just incredibly busy. And as you can tell, everything just came to a screeching halt. So now we're just winging stuff. But Johnny and I are together, and not only that, not only do we have an outstanding short bus show for you, but we've got one of my absolute favorite podcasters that's out there. One of my favorite shows, They Must Be Destroyed on Sight. That's one of my early, I don't even know if you know this, Lee, but I was listening to you guys like right when we started doing Helming and all that stuff. So you guys have been like one of those I've always referenced back to. Great show. Folks, make welcome Mr. Lee Russell. What's up, man?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm glad to hear that these big hiatuses you guys take are like basically just normal in your sort of rhythm of doing things, because like the last time I was on this show, you took like a big hiatus right afterwards, and I was afraid I'd killed the show. So I'm glad to know I didn't do that at least.
No, not at all. I'm one of those that overdoes and tries to do too many things at one time, and it catches up with me from time to time. But hey, what better time than the present to try to entertain some folks and take their mind off the craziness that's going on in this world right now. So, man, anytime that we can get together and do this, man, I'm always happy to do so. Yeah. And with that being said, tell me, Lee, go ahead and talk a little bit about your show and the other things you got going on, because I know you've got some other things tied into that. Let it rip, man.
So They Must Be Destroyed on Sight, yet another movie podcast. If you don't have enough of those in your queue already, you can listen to that. We kind of do a little bit of everything. We do sort of focus on like cult movies and lesser known movies and stuff, but we don't restrict ourselves by genre all that much. And we have this new project we're doing in 2020 where, for the most part, we're going to make some exceptions here and there, but for the most part, we're going from the 1900s and working our way to the present. So we're picking a few movies every decade and going through them. So right now we're going through silent films and doing a lot of those. We'll be out of silent films here pretty soon. And so that's the movie podcast where we just do whatever the hell we want and frustrate our listeners who probably want something a bit more standard. Why can't you just be a show about this? Well, we don't like just sticking to one thing, so that's what we do. And then I also have a side podcast that's connected to that called Blood on the Tracks, where every month I I just play like soundtracks and film scores from films and stuff that I like, and I try to connect it by a theme for every episode. And that's kind of what we're doing for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool, man. And it's funny because, Johnny Show, Kruger Nation was a big influence on how we put Hail Ming together as far as the editing. And then, like I said, the idea of kind of what you guys did and said, we're not getting stuck in any kind of genre. We can jump from movie to movie that has nothing to do with each other. And so we kind of took that aspect too. And that's what I liked about it. It's like, man, these guys are covering stuff that nobody's going to cover, And just like you said, the current project of going all the way back to basically the beginning of film and working your way up, that's a task, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun though. It's definitely been a lot more work than we're usually accustomed to, but it is a lot of fun, and especially just to get out of your comfort zone and watch stuff you wouldn't normally watch. I think it's worth it. So,
well, funny you say that because. The movie that we brought up to cover this week, it may, I could already kind of say it may not be the worst movie we had on here, but it is definitely the most confusing. So, folks, if you don't know what we're talking about a movie called Robo Vampire Killer. No, Robo Vampire. No, Vampire Killer.
Vampires.
You put a better title for it. It's more apt.
Yeah, that would make more sense. Robo Vampire. This thing is. You'll find out. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take a little short break. We're gonna come back and we're gonna start ripping into this thing. So just hold on to your seats, folks. We'll be right back.
Get out of the way!
Do you desire to add yet another entry in the endless legion of film review podcasts to your playlist? Can you not stand the thought of having any moment of your dull, pointless, waking life intruded upon with the sounds from the real world, and would prefer to listen to a small cast of assholes talk about movies? Then
they must be destroyed on sight!
Probably meets your bare minimum requirements. Join Lee Russell, Daniel Harper, Paul Romali, and the odd guest hosts as they talk about films from every genre, ranging from the obscure and schlocky to the well-known top-dollar classics. Look for
They Must Be Destroyed on Sight
on iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, and Facebook. That's
They Must Be Destroyed on Sight.
And now for our feature presentation.
And we're back with Robo Vampire from 1988. The IMDb score for this movie is a 3.7, which that's fairly high for this. I don't know for this. But this is directed by Godfrey Ho, a.k.a. Joe Livingstone, who, from what I could tell, he was pretty obsessed with ninjas, because he did Space Ninjas, Ninja Squad, Thunder Ninja, Ninja Hunt. It's like just a list of just ninja movies.
I don't see a theme there at all.
If you took all the movies he's responsible for, and he's got like 100 and something credits there, and you took all the movies that had the title Ninja in it, and then you stacked them up against all the titles in IMDb across the site that have Ninja in the title, he's probably responsible for 90% of them.
Wow.
That's awesome.
You know what? I bet he did City Ninja, which is one that Danny and I watched for a Helming commentary once. I just happened to have it. It was in a box set, like that drive-in box set. And we got like 15 minutes into it. I was like, dude, we got to watch this and respond to it because this is just ridiculous. And it even feels like this kind of movie. So it's very possible, being that he's a ninja, and he might have done that one too. I have to look that up because that one needs to be on this show too because it was ridiculous.
Man, this movie, it's written by William Palmer, who the only other writing credit is for something called The Devil's Dynamite, which is a sequel to this.
Too, as far as I know, under another pseudonym.
That sounds about right. But yeah, Devil's Dynamite apparently is the sequel to this.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we can definitely go down that route.
I saw on YouTube where there was a part 2 to this, and I was like, yeah, do we tackle that? I don't know.
Here, I have a good one for you, though. So this movie stars Robin McKay, Nean Watts, Harry Miles, and Joe Brown. And the funny thing is this is the first IMDb cast I've ever looked at that didn't have a single picture. Like, no one. I mean, even the last Slumber Party and Terror at Tin Killer have pictures, and some people. This one, not one picture.
Yeah, well, the killer in Terror at Tin Killer actually went on to have an actual career. So
yeah, he's been in a lot of Wasn't he on like Oz and stuff?
Yeah, he's in Oz and Sons of Anarchy and a bunch of other stuff. So
yeah, that's pretty impressive after coming out of that movie. Mm-hmm. This is going to be good. I'm just trying to decide where you're like. You want to go ahead and kick it off, Ricky?
Oh, yeah. Because the first thing I was going to say is, the first thing that caught my eye was it's a Thomas Tang production. So, we get a little Tang put in there from the very beginning. So, yeah.
A little bit of the drink powder empire behind this.
That's what they put in those caskets,
Yeah.
So, we start off with, basically you got two military-looking guys holding another dude at gunpoint who's in double denim. And
Denim Dan.
Double Denim Dan, that's right. When they're walking down this, I don't know if it's an alleyway or just between some buildings, but there's two caskets in the road. And they're like, wow, look, there's caskets in the road. And one of the military guys uses his foot to kick one open, and he sees the face of one of the so-called, I guess these are the vampires.
Yeah.
So there's vampire caskets in the street. The other one pops open, and the dude starts shooting in it, and you can tell somebody just lobbed a snake out of it. It comes flipping out of there. And this is our setup, folks. This is how, they're going to bring you into this movie and have a couple of vampires jump up, which is in the title. And these things, they hop.
They look like geishas or geishas.
Yeah.
Kinda.
It's like strangest combination of, just put on that woman's outfit. You're a vampire.
Are you guys familiar with hopping vampires at all? Have you ever seen any other movies with them in them? No?
Have not.
So this is what sort of like Chinese, East Asian vampires are in mythology. They're hopping vampires. There's this whole, I don't know the exact details, but there's this whole thing of how to like take corpses to their graves and stuff like that. Taoist priests would reanimate them with those pieces of paper you see stuck to them, which are basically just like incantations or spells or whatever, right, to control them.
They look like CVS receipts.
But yeah, hopping vampires, that's a real cultural thing. There's like a ton of movies that are made that are way better than this movie that actually feature hopping vampires. And this is your budget bin version of the hopping vampire in this movie, basically.
I'm not gonna lie, that's as far as like urban legends and mythos and stuff of a lot of different places. The hopping vampire based on this movie seems not super menacing.
Well, and that's the thing too, and I figured it was a cultural thing for sure, especially with putting like you said, the incantations on their face to hold them still, make them freeze in place. But it's just the fact of even in this case where they're chasing the guys with the guns, because the one dude, he gets killed, and then the other guy is still beating up the guy that's trying to get away. And this dude's like, hey, man, I'm just trying to get away because there's a vampire coming. Grabs the other military dude and just bites a big chunk out of his neck like, Wormy from, Zombie.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, they're vampires, but they're more like zombies.
Yeah, kind of. Like, this movie doesn't, like I said, it's sort of, they're the budget bin version of Hopping Vampires, so they just kind of dip into the mythology, but at the same time, we have to have this great opening scene with gore and fighting and stuff to, hook everybody. And then we're going to make the vampires a lot less threatening as we go through it. They're going to do a lot less.
Well, because the first one picks up that first military guy and picks him up like Vader style. He just grabs him by the neck and picks him up and then breaks his neck. And, and then the other one does like a somersault over the guy while he's running away, and that's when he bites him on the neck. And then it says Robo Vampire on the screen. And from here on, it just becomes just a cluster because there is so many people in this movie, man. You can't keep them straight. It's like there's 15 guys wearing toboggans, and you never know which guy's which.
Dude, I'm so glad you said it before I did, because I didn't want to sound like the racist one. But, like, so many people in this movie look like, and that's the American actors. Everybody in this movie looks the same to me.
Yeah.
It's not, not just the Asian people. I got a lot of characters mixed up.
Well, I mean, that's what happens when you have two casts from two different movies you have to juggle in one film.
Yeah. Then we break away to some drug dealers, right? So this is what this movie is going to come down to. So we had a conversation before we started recording this. This movie is actually pieces of two other movies that were purchased, completed movies, and then they just gutted what they wanted out of those and then added the RoboCop and the vampires to it. Oh, I didn't mention that. Yeah, this movie's got a RoboCop in it. Well, kind of. But, so you can tell this is, and I made the reference to the guys earlier, it's kind of like Power Rangers, because that's exactly what happened. This guy bought those action flicks with the people jumping around and stuff, and then they took American actors and got them identical outfits and made them act out the acting parts, and all the action stuff came from films that were shot years before. And you kind of got this situation here where, it's almost like drug cartel, Rambo-style movie, but with vampires fighting RoboCop.
Hey, you know something that happens next in this movie that I've never seen in any movie?
What's that?
They do a blessing over the heroin.
Yeah. Bless our drugs.
They say a blessing to bless the heroin. I was like, wow, I've never seen that.
Well, I mean,
that's new.
I mean, here's the best thing about this film. This is the thing. Actually, one of the things I like the most about this film that just makes me laugh is that. They're marketing this for a North American audience, so when they're dubbing this, they don't know how we talk over here, So, that's fine. Cultural difference.
Right.
But everybody who says a line, they're always saying exposition, no matter what they're doing. They're always giving us exposition.
Right.
So we get the initial drug dealers, right? The head drug dealer guy and his guys, and he's like, we've got to get rid of these drug agents, and they're stopping our operation. So he just, without any shred of irony or sarcasm or anything like that, he just says, I'm gonna hire a Taoist priest to train vampires to protect our drugs and kill the drug agents. And the other two guys are just standing there, like, they both kind of look at each other for a second, like, what? But then they just go with it. They're like, okay, that makes sense. We'll do that. And then then we immediately cut to a scene like the comedy scene in this, where they're trying to like, the drug dealers are assisting the Taoist priest in like trying to like look after these vampires, and man, they make a mess of it.
So to clarify a few things so you guys can follow us at home, if you're playing the home game, the drug boss that we're talking about that's demanding, that we hire vampires, I said he looked like Father Guido Sarducci from the old Saturday Night Live. That's kind of the way he looks, and like you said, all your bad guys, they all talk like this. We've got to stop those guys. They always got that voice. And then the priest that he hires that trains the zombies or the vampires looks like Groucho Marx. So
and he's got like a raw chicken in there, and I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, they've got food there and all this stuff for the vampires, even though they're all in their caskets, or they're just lined up across the back wall with, like you said, CVS, receipts stuck to their heads.
I mean, the way it's set up is like they're already doomed to fail. It's just they've got vampires like standing everywhere. They got some in caskets. It's a big goddamn mess. They got their little papers they stick to their head just laying everywhere, and they're like, yeah, let's just it'll be okay. This just totally makes sense. Let's just like hide some of these drugs in these coffins with these vampires. What could go wrong? All you have to do is like really screw up and have one of these papers blow off their head, and you're fucked. Like it's over with.
Yeah, you're screwed. Yeah.
Well, and one thing also is like you were talking about the comedy scene. I don't know. I find a lot of this movie pretty comedic, but this scene seems to be sort of intentional because one of the guys goes to light a cigarette and the resting vampire steals it from him just through some kind of, I don't know, like
kind of just sucks it in her mouth or whatever, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But then this guy goes over there and he's doing something sort of above the vampire at crotch
lighting
level.
a lamp or something.
Yeah, he's lighting an incense, right? He's lighting an incense off the little flame that's in the the little torch that's up above it. And he's like, "Hey, don't start a fire! You'll wake up the vampires." I'm like, "Really? That's what's going to wake them up?"
Well, and the scene is funny because I mean, it's like something out of Porky's, man. And like he's like the cigarette like slowly goes into this dude's crotch, and his dong gets burned.
Oh man! And then you find out that they're stuffing these drugs into the caskets, and it turns out that it's rice powder.
Yeah.
So it's like, wonk wonk. Oh, it's rice powder. That's what woke up the vampires. I'm like, I need more clarification of what makes these vampires wake up, because why would rice powder, but
I'm not
heroin
sure
wouldn't?
Yeah, you think the heroin would do a better job, right? Yeah. No, I'm thinking. I'm not sure. Like again, I'm only sort of. I have a cursory knowledge of the sort of hopping vampire mythology or whatever. So I'm not sure if rice is specifically something that's like tied in with the mythology that would like bring them or like reanimate them or whatever. But I'm assuming at least that's what they're going with in this, and they forget about it right afterwards anyway. So it's not like a care it matters.
One thing in this movie though that like they did kind of port over from, I don't know, the European vampire is the garlic thing, because there was a scene with the garlic strand, and so it's weird because like it still does have some of the stuff that's recognizable to everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
And how about Groucho Marx, man? Because when the vampires wake up, man, he's kicking their butts, man. Mm-hmm. He's a pretty bad dude.
Yeah, there's actually, like, for all this movie's flaws, there's actually some pretty decent, like, mid-level martial arts stuff going on here for the time. Like, stuff that would hold up to, like, lesser Shaw Brothers productions and stuff like that, Like, some of the stuff looks pretty damn good.
Well, I mean, if you watch it on YouTube, which is where I got to check this thing out, it's on the Wu-Tang channel, so that should tell you enough right there,
Hey, you know what? I watched the YouTube one and I watched the riff tracks of it, and the riff tracks copy of it is actually a lot lighter. Like it's easier to see.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they have a cleaned up copy, so I appreciated that because when I watched it on YouTube, a lot of it was kind of dark and it's fuzzy and stuff like you'd expect. But
well, doesn't the riff tracks don't they release those on like Blu-ray or whatever or DVD too?
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah, so and isn't that through Shout Factory?
Well, they release some. No, they do their own stuff now. But they only release some of them now, like the live shows and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're connected to at least some sort of production. DVD production company or whatever, you're at least probably going to get a cleanup if they have any money behind them. So,
oh yeah, for sure. It looked really good. It looked. I mean, I'd suggest watching that one if people can't get a hold of.
I think it's just funny that there's a real good copy of this movie out there.
Well, it's about as good as they could make it. It's still pretty fuzzy and grainy, but it's I don't know. It's like the HD version of crap.
I mean, I don't need a 4K scan of Robo Vampire.
You'll get it and you'll like it along with the sequel.
So you go from this crazy Abbott and Costello type scene with martial arts, with the vampires and stuff, and then we cut away to Guido Sarducci walking out on a dock, talking to, I guess, one of his smugglers about, hey, we're changing our plan. We're going to start smuggling bodies now. And you can tell the dude's like, okay, that's casual.
Yeah. Yeah, no. These are the most casual, like, drug dealer gangsters ever, like, because half of them, some of them dress professional, they dress formally for the job or whatever, and then the rest of them are just, like, they're dressing, like, they dress however they woke up, this is what I'm wearing. Like, the double denim guy, this is a different guy. The guy who kind of looks like, a young Conan O'Brien with a denim fucking jacket.
Yeah, he's got the denim vest on, yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean,
Well, when you've got vampires backing you up, I mean, they're part of your arsenal, you probably are just kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the hopping vampire lore is that they cannot bite through stone-washed denim.
No. I mean, who could? I mean, it's the 80s. You don't mess with that shit.
And it cuts straight out of this to back at one of the compounds. It never really tells you where you are in any of this. You get one description halfway through, and it doesn't make any sense. But we cut to the scene where a lady has cut open a yak that's laying on the ground and splits its belly open like Han Solo did with the tauntaun.
Yeah.
And she's stuffing bags of heroin in there and sewing the cow back up. So we just had a conversation that we're going to start shipping bodies, but we're putting heroin in a cow. So which is it? I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, you can forget that shipping in the cows thing because that never comes up again. Like, that's just
exactly.
And then you notice in that scene, and this is one of the things with this film. Like, there's every once in a while the soundtrack will start dropping in music that just tonally doesn't match anything that's going on in the film, and there's this lady, like, this is obviously taken from another movie, and I'm kind of thinking the soundtrack is also taken from another movie, because there's this really ominous music playing when she's cutting this thing open and putting the drugs in there, and it's making you think, like, she's looking at the guards looking at her and stuff, and it's making you think that she's gonna, like, pull some sort of move, like try to get some drugs out for herself and get caught and killed or something like that, but then it just goes nowhere. It's just like, oh, she puts it in, sews it up, there we go, done.
Yep. Done. She even, wipes it down, cleans it up. Nice clean stitch job there.
Yeah, gives it a little kiss on the cheek and sends it on its way, yeah.
Right. And then it just cuts right back to Vampire Land, where Groucho has got two American dudes that have just showed up, which, again, you have no idea who these guys are or what they're doing there. And that's where he tells them, hey, put on these garlands of garlic.
Yep.
So, like you said, we kind of get that thing. And then...
he tells them not to, like, to show any kind of fear, too, like you would tell somebody going up to a pit bull. Like, don't show fear. They'll eat you alive if you show fear.
And at this point, you get some dialogue that lets you know that Groucho actually creates these vampires. And then he goes to show them one of them, and Groucho goes over to, basically, it's the spinner from Twister. Where it says, you spin it and it says left foot blue or whatever.
I was thinking the movie Twister.
Oh, no.
Like, I don't remember that scene.
Bill Paxton. He points at the game spinner, and you see the vampire wakes up, and he's got like a snot bubble on top of his head.
Oh, yeah.
That's like pulsating.
Yeah, it starts pulsing and stuff. So you're like, all right, we're going to get a little gore here. And then, dude, out of nowhere, Alanis Morissette comes flying in, and she's in this see-through gown. She's floating through the air.
Dude, I call her the titty ghost.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
every note I have is titty ghost.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, one of the gangster dudes, he's like, "Whoa, it's like some kind of lady ghost or something." Like, it's like, what? How do you know that?
This scene right here, like, everything up to this point is really absurd and crazy, but this scene right here really, like, this is a great scene to set the tone for the rest of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Right. So Groucho gets his war sword and goes after, and we kind of get a little explanation here of what's going on. So I got a sound bite here.
How dare you enter here, you witch!
How dare you take my lover's corpse towers and turn him into a vampire beast? Now he is condemned to a living death, and we can never be together in the afterlife.
But he is from the east and you the west. How can you explain it?
Orientals are a stubborn race, and both his parents opposed our marriage. It was then that we decided if we could not be together in this life, Peter and I would be together forever in the afterlife. You have robbed us of this by turning him into a vampire beast. Now my only thought is of revenge. Now my dreams have been shattered. I hold you responsible for my misery.
You tell him.
Dude, the vampire beast. When they show Peter, I was floored, man. Like, this vampire beast, quote unquote, is a man in a gorilla suit.
Right.
What were they fucking thinking, man?
Oh, it was like I had to rewind it when he first came on the screen, because I'm like, what? Like a vampire? That's not a vampire. It's Magilla the gorilla.
I guess it's because it's to let you know when you see all the vampires which one he is. I guess.
Yeah, that's
because they've all got
right.
like dried oatmeal on their face to begin with. So I guess this is a way to separate Peter from the rest. Hey, we got a vampire named Peter, who's now a gorilla. All right, this movie's going great.
Yeah, there's a lot of, it wouldn't be a martial arts film from this period too if you didn't have a little bit of casual racism in there as well. So it's like, first off, well, you're from the west, he's from the east. How could this marriage even work? And you Orientals are so stubborn. It's like, whoa, lady, whoa, come on now.
Oh. And so then Groucho makes Groucho and Alanis Morissette start fighting, and you're seeing boobs fly everywhere and sparks coming out of their feet, and it's a fun time. And again, kind of like what Lee was saying earlier, it's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I mean, when it gets to the goods as far as like action and stuff, it brings it. Like it's still low budget goods, but it's the goods. Like those scenes do work really well, and thankfully they do give us a lot of them too. So,
and then Groucho, I guess, decides, well, I've had enough of this, so he makes Peter start fighting her, and they start going at it, and then Pete recognizes her tattoo.
Yeah. That's all it takes. She shows a little leg, and all of a sudden he's like, "Oh yeah, you're that chick I used to be, banging."
Did anybody figure out what the tattoo was?
Was it like a leopard or something, like crawling up? I don't know. It looked like some kind of wildcat that was like stretched with its like one arm above its head. I don't know, dude. It was bad.
But I mean, then we get another plot twist here, where one of the gangsters steps in, and he's like, "Yeah, hey there, Taoist. How about you just marry this lady ghost and vampire, all right? Just get it."
Dude.
And then they're on board. They're like, "Yeah, okay, this evil wizard who turned my love into a vampire who I want to kill, well, if he proceeds over our marriage, all is forgiven."
Well, and then that guy, though, that priest, he like thinks about it for a second, and then he turns around and he's like, "If I do this, you guys will have to obey me forever." So it's like he still had some reservations about it.
But funny y'all say that, because I've got the sound bite right here.
Peter, you finally recognize me.
She's your enemy!
Taoist, that lady ghost loves him deeply. Let's fulfill her wish. Besides, both of them will be under our counsel once they're married, right?
A marriage. A vampire and the ghost.
With your magical powers, I'm sure you can make it.
I mean, I think even he's going, this is ridiculous. A marriage, a vampire and a ghost. That's right, folks. You're hearing this in this movie right here.
I love that guy's voice, dude, because it's so like 1940s film gangster.
Well, yeah.
He's like, "Ah, you see, yeah, if he does this for us, we'll definitely get under your control forever."
Yeah. And then you never see that guy again. It's great.
Right. So it cuts away from this, and all of a sudden you got Groucho Marx is driving a Suzuki Samurai.
Well, I thought I have it put down that he was driving a Power Wheel Jeep.
It's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
And there's a roadblock. We got some military guys that are blocking the road. And Groucho and two guys we haven't seen at all before in the movie jump out and take off running. And both the dudes get shot. Groucho is summoning the vampires to help him out because, he's by himself and he feels like, even though he just fought a ghost and he beat a bunch of vampires earlier, now he can't fight a bunch of military guys. So he calls on the vampires, and the vampires jump in front of the officers and shoot smoke out of their sleeves. And they like I don't know if they're like stir frying or steaming the dude's face, but that's kind of it. They just steam them and they fall down dead with their face with oatmeal on it. I guess it kills them.
Yeah.
Because they never really get back up or anything. It's like they just took some steam to the face. And the second officer does the same thing, but he fights Peter. Peter's up in a tree. And he starts shooting bottle rockets at the officer and explodes and kills the officer. And then Groucho just goes back in his Jeep and drives off.
It's like, that's done. Move on.
That's pretty much it.
Did you notice when they first rolled up in that Power Wheels Jeep that they jump out and start running as those guys walk up, and the guys continue to shoot the Jeep even after they're gone?
Yeah.
It's like, what are you guys shooting at, man?
I don't know. And I mean, the way it's framed, it's like, where were you going to run to? You were going to get shot either way. Like, you might as well just surrendered at that point, because they basically just run into a fucking kill zone between the two fucking narcotics agents or whatever they're supposed to be. So, yeah.
So, at this point, we're 25 minutes into the movie, so something's going to have to happen, right? We've got a title, we've seen vampires, we got to get to the Robo part. So we cut to, I guess, a military hospital? I don't know. Could be an office building. Can't really make out what it is.
No.
And apparently one of the officers that got steamed in the face is a guy named Tom. And Tom died.
Yeah.
And they decide, they do a little check on him, check his pulse, and they try to bring him back. He's dead. He's gone.
Tell me you have this clip.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So they walk out of the room where the body is and run into these guys, and this is what's said.
So how's Tom?
It was a fatal wound. He's dead.
Since Tom's dead, I want to make use of his body to create an android-like robot, Mr. Glenn. I would appreciate your approving my application.
Are you assured of success?
Mm-hmm.
All right, your application's approved. May I remind you of one point? You must proceed with your invention with great care and in strict confidence. All right?
Yes, all right.
That's all it takes to build a robot dude. Hey, since he's dead, can I have him?
Yeah, exactly. Like, let's not tell his friends and family he's dead. Let's not shoot this up the hierarchy and make sure, our overseers are cool with us funding this, sci-fi project to create undead fucking robot soldiers. Yeah, let's just do it. Just do it. Don't say nothing. Just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, can you promise me success? Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And with these machines that they're using, how can they go wrong, right?
No, yeah.
So we get the montage here right now. In your minds, because I just covered RoboCop for Hell Ming, which will come out in a couple of weeks, holds up really well. Even though the technology is dated, the whole scene of putting them together and all that is fantastic. This one, not so much.
No. No, you would expect maybe they'd have 1970s technology maybe or something, slightly old, but no, this is something fucking a 1950s monster movie would be, top of the line stuff. I expected to see a bunch of rolls of tape on an old style computer spinning and shit in the background.
Right. Yeah. I mean, They had this one main machine that they're basing everything off of that basically has a plus sign that's in green and a minus sign that's in red. And that's how they use this to judge if they're successful or not. You might as well just be playing a game of Operation. If you make the nose blink, you messed up. I mean, it's that ridiculous. And they're just welding the dude together. They take like these big black boxes that have like duct tape all over them, and they're just shoving them into this mannequin that's been painted silver. And, I want to say they're using real welding rods. It could be just a sparkler. I don't know. But they're fake welding this body together. It's so
they probably borrowed some of the bottle rockets or whatever from the fucking vampires.
But they start welding him together. They got him together, and then they start making him function. And, man, come on. Let's talk about Robo Warrior here for a minute. This
aluminum
outfit,
foil.
That's a stunt double.
It looks like something your mom made, because it's a fabric outfit that's silver, but it's got like big pointy elbows, like would be like a woman's jacket from the 80s. It's got these real big.
I was thinking like a flamenco dancer.
And let's just talk about dude's helmet, man, because basically he's got a pot on his head, and it's like they painted an oven mitt and had it hanging out of the back of it. So he looks like a Robo redneck, man. I mean, he looks like he's got. It looks like he's got a mullet. So Robo mullet jumps up off a table. Terrible suit, man. You can tell this is just sewn together, pieces of junk. Dude's even wearing tennis shoes.
Right.
and you can tell they throw tape and stuff on them to try to cover them up, but they're tennis shoes, man.
Based on his movement for the rest of the movie, I would be willing to bet he didn't have very good visibility either.
No. I'm thinking not, man. Thinking not. I mean, if you have not watched this movie yet, listeners, and you look at the poster art for this, where it's straight up RoboCop on the poster, it's straight up RoboCop. This ain't straight up RoboCop in the film. This is trailer park RoboCop at best.
This is when you order RoboCop off of Wish.
How about that antenna they strapped to his head too? It's like 14 foot long. It's like a CB radio antenna.
Yeah, that's latest technology back then. That's small compared to what he'd usually. If it was 1970s, he'd have to have like a whole tower coming out of his back.
All that's missing is that smiley face ping pong ball.
Right, swinging in the wind. So we go from the building of Robo Dude, Robo Mullet, and then it shows him training, right? So they got to go through a training montage, and he walks up to these two soldiers and picks them up by their helmets. And starts shooting at things and blowing them up. So he's breaking guns. So they're trying their best to rip off some of the ideas from RoboCop, but yeah, they're not good.
You notice how every gun in this film shoots exactly the same and sounds exactly the same, no matter what kind of gun it is. Like, it could be a rifle, it could be a machine gun. They all shoot automatically, and they all sound the same.
Sure. Yeah, that's how you cut corners, man.
Yeah.
use the same sound effect on everything.
Oh, the sound effect for when he walked was hilarious. It just sounded like this weird crunching.
It's great when they sync it up with them. They don't usually, though.
When does that happen? I must have missed that part. So it cuts from the awesomeness of Robo Mullet walking around and beating up people and getting good at shooting things. It cuts to these drug dealers showing up at a church, I guess, in this little town. Again, there's no explanation, but they go up and they ask the priest, "Where's the drugs?" And the priest's like, "I have no drugs here. What are you talking about?" And they knock. Doug McKenzie walks over and pushes the cross over. They're over here, eh? knocks the cross over, and heroin falls out everywhere. And you can see the priest is like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, whoops, busted.
They didn't bless it enough.
Yeah.
And then, they got him on the ground, and they're like, "Kill him now!" And they go to shoot, and then all of a sudden, the two guys that have the guns on the priest get shot and killed. And out of nowhere pops in like a real cheap Cheryl Teague. And she jumps in. Her name's Sophie. I guess they just had to shoehorn her in here. So she comes out, guns a-blazing, and then she runs and jumps out a window, which is obviously not her. It's almost like Texas Chainsaw when she jumps out of the window at the top of the house. You can tell it's a stunt double. Same deal here, except they keep the camera on a little too long. And then the second cut after that is her shooting back up the house, and half of her hair is gone. It's like she got a haircut and it's up past her shoulders now. Mm-hmm. And then it shows the next clip and her hair's long again. It's like, wow.
Is that Samurai Cop?
It's pretty close, man. She was looking for that big black gift. Oh. But anyway, Sophie gets captured because she turns around to shoot Doug McKenzie, and her gun's out of bullets, and they arrest her, and then they take her into a torture room where this dude, is a bad guy in like a leisure suit, shows up.
Isn't she the narc agent?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
I was confused who and who was not narc agents throughout
oh,
this.
Yeah,
like,
you can't tell.
I think like at the very beginning, the two guys who were escorting the Asian dude through that temple or wherever the hell where the vampires were, I think they were narc agents too.
Jeez.
Or were they mercenaries or were they fucking terrorists? I don't know.
The thing is, for a movie that is like almost entirely exposition in the dialogue, I still don't know what the hell was going on or who was doing it.
Yeah.
It was like, you guys are explaining so much and yet there's so many questions.
Yeah.
But they capture Sophie and they put her in this room with this guy, and she jumps up and starts doing some bad karate, and dude ends up kind of having his way with her, I guess. And from there it cuts away to, we're getting to some meat and potatoes of a story here, what little we have. But it cuts away to like a police officer, room or whatever. So we're starting to see these are the agents, right? Yep. There's this guy named Chief Thompson who really looks like Charlton Heston on meth. I mean, he's got a very distinct look, but it's like, yeah, this guy's just not right. And he hires this dude Ray. As far as I know, that's his name, right? Was it Ray?
You can call me Ray. You can call me Jay.
It's Guido Sarducci again. But so he hires this guy to go and save Sophie from this bad guy, whose name is Long. Or Young. I'm sorry, Young. Which he's not young at all.
No, he's old and rapey.
And he gets a scene where he's like, well, what does it pay? And Charlton Heston's like, well, I would pay $1 million, but the agency's only going to pay you like $20,000.
That's not how official like drug enforcement agencies work. You're not paid by the job. You have a salary. Like you show up. You're paid by. I don't know what this organization is. Like they have the money to build a RoboCop, and they're operating in like some East Asian country that has apparently no laws and no international laws of any sort, and they're just. They have total autonomy. Like they're just operating outside the law and doing what the hell they want. Like this isn't a narcotics agency. This is like probably funded by some like insane billionaire who just doesn't like drugs or something. These are just mercenaries. They're not cops. That's my headcanon for this.
Well, and then they give the speech of where's she at? Any idea? And they go, well, she's at Young's HQ, which they're using fancy lingo. HQ. In the middle of the Golden Triangle. Okay. What does that mean?
Yeah. I think that's a region in Asia somewhere, if I'm not mistaken. But
well, that's kind of where I thought, but you know me, I don't know a lot. I'm terrible with geography.
It could be the Golden Corral for all I know. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, my geography is terrible. You just remember that down there in Canada.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. That's how we roll down here.
That's up from here.
Right under Mexico.
Oh, so let's see. At this point, we got to get back to some robo action, right? So at Guido Sarducci's place, they're bagging up the dope, you get your typical guy sitting down, and just out of nowhere, I mean, here's the thing. We've seen RoboCop walk around, and he makes the consistent sound everywhere he walks. It's very loud. Mm-hmm. There's no way he can just sneak up to places.
No.
No.
But just all of a sudden, the door opens up, and he's standing there, and he's like, drop your guns. And there's 3 dudes there. They've all got their guns. And he's just one RoboCop, which they have no idea what he is because they haven't heard about him on the news or anything. So I'm just thinking, as a known drug, I don't know, whatever you want to call this guy, drug dealer, you're not just going to say, okay, I give up. You're going to try to shoot the dude a few times. 3 dudes, 3 guns against one, robo mullet with a rifle.
Yeah.
And they all just go, okay.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, we're going to see some action here. Nope.
No, it's just
nope.
So anticlimactic. I mean, it's like, oh, let's just tie that thread to the story off right now, and okay, I guess they go to jail or whatever. Yeah.
And then just to add more confusion, you got Groucho and the dopers are walking. So we've gone from Guido and his bunch to Groucho and these other dopers are walking around. They're stopped by the military. And again, more vampires come out and steam dudes' faces. And then Pete comes out and with his bottle rockets and starts shooting a bunch of them again. And then RoboCop, or Robo Mullet, or Robo Warrior, whatever you take your pick, folks, whichever one you want.
Robo Slop.
We get a Robo Slop. That's perfect.
Or Slowbo-Cop, maybe. I don't know.
But we get a quick brief shot of Pete and RoboCop fighting each other. And basically it's Pete rolling on the ground like Dick Van Dyke taught us as kids. Whenever there's a fire in your house, you stop, drop, and roll. And RoboCop's shooting him, and then he just disappears. So that's the end of that fight.
Well, and that's what's funny too is like they never explained that was any kind of power or anything. Like they could just dissolve in thin air.
Yeah, the vampires have all kinds of powers that they never really. It's like, oh, we need the vampire to do this in this scene. All right, let's do it.
It's just weird that everybody just accepts this as like it's normal.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
that's the thing that's weird to me.
Vampires are a thing in this world, apparently. Like, it's just, right back, again, going back to, like, the gangsters is like, I'm going to hire a Taoist to train some vampires. And they're like, all right.
I just think about these guys that are like, the guys that are packaging the dope and stuff. They go home, hey, honey, how was work today? Well, I was out on the beach and I saw this robot dude fight a vampire. Oh, that's nice, honey.
I kept trying to stick these fucking receipts to these vampires' heads, and they kept falling off. And oh man, it was just a rough day at work, honey. Vampires kept coming back to life, and we had to kick their ass and put these things back on their heads.
One of them burnt my ding ding with a cigarette.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's just and it. If you're lost yet, folks, don't worry, because it gets way even more confusing. We're gonna cut to Ray, who's the guy who was hired to chase down and find Sophie. Him and some other dudes with toboggans on their heads are riding in a canoe down a river, and Guido Sarducci is there, and they start shooting at the guys, and then somebody starts shooting at Guido's people. And Guido tells his guys, hey, retreat. And these guys go get in a boat and take off in the river in the boat, and somebody just blows that sumbitch up. And there's bodies flying everywhere. It's pretty epic. Oh. And it ends up being this guy in a black beret that just pops out of the woods. His name's Andy. Yeah.
A menacing name.
Yeah, Andy. So apparently he's friends with Ray, or they know that they're looking for Ray to help him out, so they saved him just in the nick of time. But Guido got away. So then it cuts to Sophie being water tortured, which is pretty lame as well, because they're in these chairs that are not bolted to the floor, and they're just tied to the chair. So you could very easily just hop over in the chair and not be under the water.
Well, and I also feel like a legitimate narc agent would know things like, hopping over.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, obviously they're not bolted down or anything, but hey, it's a movie.
I'll take this over seeing the rape scene. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't see dude in this leisure suit, getting it on. So we come out of that, and this again, we're just throwing another one in here, but all of a sudden you're in this community of some sort, and these guys pull up in a Jeep, and Doug McKenzie's arm wrestling a dude out in the middle of all these people for no reason. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I'm guessing this is Young, and his guy's Young is the dude in the leisure suit, but now I think he's wearing a cardboard safari hat. I'm thinking it's the same dude, but I'm not sure.
I can't remember.
But they go, hey, there's Doug McKenzie down there arm wrestling, having a good time. And while he's arm wrestling, Ray is over here, who just got off the canoe and was saved by Andy, so I guess he wanders into this hot spot of a community here between three huts to watch people arm wrestle. And he sees Doug McKenzie's hand and sees the tattoo in his hand, which is obviously something that's supposed to mean something, but we're never really told that it does. It's the guy with the tattoo. Oh, okay.
Wouldn't it be weird if it was like the same tattoo the Lady Titty Ghost had,
right,
and then they just never explained it?
Right. Oh, yeah.
I like how this whole scene escalates, though, because it starts off with an arm wrestle, and then it goes into like a fist fight. Next thing you know, there's knives pulled out.
Yeah.
And
somebody throws Ray a knife because he don't even have one. It's like, bing, here's a knife. Oh, somebody's up in the ante here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then Ray kind of kicks his butt, holds it at knife point, takes off with him, and then Young and his guys just start shooting in the crowd.
Yeah.
Get him before he gets away! So they just start shooting everything. Oh, man. It's just a mess at this point. But then, let's see where we at. Dude jumps and leaves Ray. Ray's beating up. And then, out of nowhere, Wendy shows up. So he's got the guy at knife point. He's walking into the woods, and all of a sudden this chick shows up and says, "Hi, I'm Wendy." Well, hey, how are you? Now, apparently she works for Andy. Andy! And, yeah, so just another person to throw in here really for no reason.
Yeah, no, it's, again, there's like 2 or 3 movies here, and I saw plenty of stuff they could have cut out of this and made it make a lot more sense. And, I mean,
it probably could have been a pretty fun little short film for sure.
It could have been a really solid, like, 70-minute film, and there's plenty of films around this era that were 70 minutes that worked,
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, Wendy shows up, and it kind of cuts from there, and for some reason, it just cuts to Guido and some guys facing off the RoboCop for, again, there's how do they know where he is? They're hiding. They're watching him. They do like the Superman test, right? Like Lex Luthor did with Superman in the first movie. They try to set him on fire and all this stuff to see if he can withstand it. And Robo just starts doing a Robo dig, right? He's like Dig Dug. He starts digging down in the sand. And then you see him crawl back out. And that's where you can tell he's wearing tennis shoes because he's like stomping on the ground, having a hard time getting out of the hole.
The computer wore
like Johnny said, he can't see anything. And then out of the ground pops 4 vampires because now they can they can pop up out of the ground.
They're trimmers
because they can. Yeah,
trimmers. Dude, if Michael Gross popped into this movie, man, it would like automatically jump up in quality.
Or Reba McEntire.
Yeah.
Reba Vampire.
She'd probably call that robot. She'd probably call it Fancy.
Come on, Fancy! Don't let me down.
We gotta shoot this here teddy ghost.
Teddy Ghost.
So, I hear a song coming on. So the vampires start hopping around him, and they knock RoboCop down on the ground, and they're like punching him in the nuts and all this kind of stuff. Then he jumps back up, and all of a sudden he uses the Force. Did y'all notice that?
Yeah.
I mean, he just like holds his hand out and his gun comes flying to him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, there's got to be a better understanding of our powers here. Because if you can do that, you don't have to shoot anybody.
It's like the it's like the insane clown posse asked magnets. How do those work? Like it's just.
Well, I feel like with all the powers that these vampires have, that the fact that they're being used by some kind of, crime drug syndicate is just absurd.
Yeah.
Because, they can opt out at any time.
And here's the thing. So we just found out fire doesn't hurt Robo Dude. We know that 4 vampires can't hurt Robo Dude, but you know what can?
A Yelp review.
Freaking bazooka. So they shoot him with a bazooka, and it just blows into parts, man. I mean, it just shatters. And I couldn't help it. I busted out laughing when I was watching this last night, taking notes. Just so ridiculous when they shoot him.
Best stunt double ever.
So, exactly. So, you know what we get here? We get Rebuild Montage Part 2. And what I love about the second put together, of course they even say, let's bring the robot back immediately. I'm like, well, he's in 28 pieces. Where are you going to find him all? I mean, he just got shot by a bazooka. That's like saying, hey, go pick up that bear at the end of Grizzly. Yeah, it's just a big black spot on the ground.
I guess he's like Lego. You break him apart, all the separate pieces are still there. He's put them back together.
And this is fantastic, too, because I love the scene where they're welding him back together again. And you can see the lady holding up his leg. And you can see it's a mannequin foot. It's got toes, toenails, but they're all painted like metallic silver. And you're like, why is this dude even wearing shoes if he's got metal feet? Because when he's back together, he's got his full armor on and everything again. So it's like, yeah, it's just it don't make any sense at all. It's fantastic. And I love it. I go, I'm afraid he's short-circuited. You think?
I think that's the least of his worries at that point, right?
And then we cut back to some more street fighting, where these guys are sitting down having some lunch, and then you got this Jeep pulls up, and a guy dressed like Billy Jack is in there, which, again, I think is young. I think it's this young dude that's the main bad guy here, besides Guido Sarducci, but he looks just like Billy Jack, and he's just hanging out in the front of the Jeep while all of his guys are getting their butts kicked by these 2 dudes that are hungry.
This isn't the beach fight, right? Or is this the beach?
This is like a little town that they've wandered into, and they pull up in the Jeep, and these guys are eating, and they just pick on the guys, and the guys start kicking their butts. And then Doug, at this point, it cuts back to Doug McKenzie leading our other group, because they've got him now. Somehow, all of a sudden, now he's like on board with helping out the officers. Did y'all notice that?
Yeah. Again, makes no sense. It just...
Yeah. So, first you hate me, now you love me, now we're a team. And he's like leading them through, takes them to a village, and there's nobody in the village. They can't find anybody, and they find this little kid who obviously works for Young, as they point out in the movie. And the little kid runs off, and and then Andy just raises a gun and shoots the kid. And Wendy goes running over to him. Why'd you do that? She runs over to him and finds out that the kid had a hand grenade, and he was about to lob it at him. So, Andy's like, don't ever cross me again, woman. Don't ever question what I'm doing. I'm Andy. And then after that, for some reason, Wendy and Ray decide to go swimming.
Yeah. I mean,
sure. Nobody else needs a bath. I mean, they've all been tracking for the past, 7 or 8 days. But, you get a little footsie going on out in the water.
I mean, they're the romantic leads of whatever movie that one was before it became part of this one.
They just met each other like 5 minutes ago.
There's probably like 40 minutes of backstory that were exercised from that movie.
I mean, that's what's hilarious. Literally, like 5 minutes ago is when they first get introduced, and now they're swimming naked together in the pond.
Yeah. If only all relationships could be like that.
So where have we not visited in a while in this movie? Oh, I know. Let's go back to the original vampire headquarters, where Groucho is now standing and doing hand gestures to make a strobe light come on. It was like, man, this guy can do all this cool stuff, but it's like minute things that he does. I'm going to make a sparkler shoot out of this sword. I'm going to turn on this strobe light. I'm going to play a game of Twister.
He's like an early 2000s rave DJ.
And this is where we're going to have the marriage, right? So I guess that's what's going on here is we're having a marriage ceremony, even though it really doesn't point that out much. No. But afterwards, so now we got Alanis Morissette and Peter the Ape are now married, and they go find a loft to be alone, and so they're going to consummate the wedding. Yeah. And RoboCop kind of, or Robo, what would you call him? Robo Slop. Yeah. Robo Slop wanders on them, and we kind of get this.
Don't kill us, we love each other. You can kill us, but wait till our love's consummated.
I love the gentle music.
Go ahead.
The gentle music there, I love it. Because it's like they assume that the viewer is invested in any way to these people.
Yeah. It's like, oh, they finally got married. Vampire, Beast, and Titty Ghost finally got to roll around on the loft and screw a bit, and now their love is true, and they don't want Robo Slop to kill them.
Well, and I like how they're trying to reason with a robot.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell?
I love the fact that he sounds disappointed he has to wait to kill him.
Yeah, like,
don't kill us yet. Wait till we're done. He kind of goes,
Yeah, wait till we're done boning first before you shoot us.
And when he sees a ghost and a monkey have sex, it just gives you a flashback of RoboCop's life back in the day. Where
that was really weird. I don't know why they thought we needed that.
I was confused too, because for a minute I thought like the actress was the same as the Titty Ghost, and I was thinking, wait, was the Titty Ghost his former girlfriend? Wait, what?
I thought also that maybe like somehow before Vampire Monkey Peter became that, I thought maybe that was him in like human form. I was like, what the hell's going on here? and then all of a sudden it's like, nope, that's that's RoboSlob's past.
Yeah, I don't, and I'm also thinking like, how can Robo Slop kill a ghost? Like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah. But you gotta love the flashback too, because it's I guess his wife, and they had to do this because in RoboCop, that's how he gets his memory back, right? He starts having flashbacks and finds out who he is and all that kind of crap. So they're trying to do the same thing here, except just not on the level where it really matters. They just feel like they had to do it, but it's his wife going, I don't want to be with you anymore. And he's like, well, I've been in the force for 4 years. You're just now deciding you don't want to be with me? As long as you're a cop, you can't come around me. I'm like, this is the flashback you have?
What a great memory.
Yeah. Good times. And while he's sitting there daydreaming, when I guess when they're done consummating, then Alanis Morissette throws a roll of toilet paper at RoboSlob, and it wraps around his legs, and she yanks on it, and he like goes flying, right?
Yeah.
And then you got the battle going on right here, and you're thinking, all right, well, you finally got into what this movie is all about. Not really, but now we got a 2-on-1 fight where you got Pete and Alanis Morissette fighting Robo, and then it just cuts to another scene. It really does, man. They get to going, and then it cuts to Wendy and Ray running from Guido and the gang, and they get on a sky lift in the middle of wherever they are. Like there would be a sky lift.
Dude, this whole scene is so weird, man. like that on both sides of the shore, because they're going over like a lake. On both sides of the shore, they're surrounded by people with guns, and one group has a missile launcher.
Yep.
And they go to blow up this skylift thing, and they jump. I mean, those stunned people jump from pretty high.
Yeah.
And those definitely, I don't know if
I don't think their families were compensated.
No.
If that's what you're asking.
No.
And like you said, I mean, they jumped out, and it's a pretty spectacular explosion. They land in the water, and then Young, which is the guy dressed like Billy Jack earlier, catches them, and he takes them to the same room that Sophie's in. So finally, we've gotten to where we're back where Sophie is for some reason. And they're tied up. They're all in this room together, and then the yak surgeon from earlier, the woman that's sewing up the yak, breaks them loose. Don't know why. There's no explanation why she feels for these people, but she goes in and breaks them out. And then one of the dudes comes back, and these guards. So throughout this movie, we've had like military guards, we've had vampires. Now we got these shirtless dudes with real long ponytails that look like extras from Big Trouble in Little China.
Yep.
That are, I guess, martial arts dudes, but they're bodyguards, I guess. I really don't know. And one of them goes in there and notices that the water has stopped dripping. He looks and notices they turned the water off. But they're still acting like they're tied up. So dude runs in there without a shirt. And you get a little action going on here where we got some karate chopping and stuff. But the thing is Sophie's not even in the room anymore, is she?
I don't think so.
Well, I don't remember her being there.
So the whole point of finding her is like it don't even matter anymore. We just put them in this room. Maybe they're trying to make you think this is a different room. I don't know. But,
all I know is that guy looked like the dude from Kickboxer, and he was taken down by a woman scratching his face.
Oh,
right.
Man, she gouged... Wendy the Eye Gouger is what I called her. Yeah, she just poked dude's eyes out.
Yeah.
But
So-
he pops up in the next scene, doesn't he?
I think it's a different dude.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just him. I thought, oh, wow, like he doesn't have the scratches on his face anymore.
There's like 4 or 5 of these dudes, but again, it doesn't... You don't care. It's just a bunch of extra people.
I just want to say to the people listening, it's not that we didn't watch this film. It's really that confusing. It really is that confusing.
Well, like I said, I mean, they can give you all the exposition they want, but it still doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And this is where Andy's group shows up, right? So this is all happening at the same building, but has nothing to do with what RoboCop is. So we got these 2 stories that really don't taste great together in one thing. Andy's group shows up, and you got this big shootout that's kind of going on, and then this one dude's like, I'm going on the roof. And he jumps and flips, and he climbs up on top of the roof of this building, drops a hand grenade down there, and it like kills like 40 people. And I love it because he's up there and he's yelling, yeah, I got him. And this dude comes up from behind him, one of these military guys. And did y'all notice the body when he like tosses the dude off the roof? You can tell it's not even like a mannequin. It is a sewn together potato sack.
Yeah.
Some legs on it, because the legs flail and cross each other as it's flying through the air, like a tail on a kite.
It's just those strong winds up there broke his legs. That's what happened.
Oh yeah, that makes it up. And while this is going on, you got Sophie just kind of walking around like, I don't know, like she's been banged all night. I mean, she's just kind of
she kind of was.
around.
Well,
Earlier.
dude, she is like the sound work on this though. She is moaning like pretty suggestively the whole time. I was like, holy crap, man.
But she's just wandering around. So I mean, why? There's no explanation of why she's just wandering around. And then you got Ray, and he fights the other dude that you thought was the dude that had his eye scratched out, but he kicks a dude into a bowl of, I don't know if it's oil or what that's boiling over the fire. Anyways, it's something really hot and liquid. Burns dude up, and even you can tell even Ray's looking at him like, holy crap, I didn't mean to do that.
Shit, dude.
Sorry. And then Andy and them run out of there, and they just blow the whole place up.
Yeah.
And then out of there, so that's Young's place, right? This is the headquarters where they did the torturing stuff. Then it cuts away to Guido Sarducci's place. So the other bad guy, and he's got Groucho there with him, and he asked Groucho for his help, and I've got a soundbite of that too. And this is great, because remember I'm talking about you can hear Robo Slob coming from a mile away. Well, listen to him here.
Damn it! Ray's team have destroyed Young and his headquarters. We must rebuild my empire. Taoist, will you help me?
Certainly. I'll help you to restore your status again, but first we must get rid of that Robo Warrior.
Huh?
There he is. I mean, just how ironic that we got to get rid of that Robo Warrior.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is right now. So here's my question. Okay. You just heard this piece right here. How did Guido know so fast that Young's place had just gotten blown up? How did RoboCop know where to go, Robo Warrior, Robo Slob, to find these guys and walk in and shoot everybody? But he's also still back fighting Peter and all these guys right now.
Well, Guido obviously watched that other movie like when it came out 2 years previous, so you already knew that was coming. Robo Slob, I can't. Yeah, that doesn't.
I mean, he was fighting them at Vampire headquarters. Then he goes to this place, and then Pete shows up, and we get another barrage of bottle rockets, and more vampires. And you get this is the big battle scene, folks. This is pay dirt. So we got 4 vampires, and you got Pete. You got Pete running at Robo Slob, and apparently he's got like jets in his boots like Iron Man, and it just floats him up in the air. But you can tell he's never really done it before, because when he comes back down, he like crashes.
He's not particularly aerodynamic anyway when you look at him.
I've got something that says magical gun here for some reason. I don't know what that means.
Is it the one with the stream of liquid fire coming out of it?
Oh no, that's just a straight up flamethrower.
It's weird though. It's like a flamethrower, but it looks like it's like a stream of like almost like limp liquid coming out of it.
Yeah,
it's like not a fully powered flamethrower.
Maybe that's what it is. I think that's the end of it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what magical gun means here. I'm totally blank on it. But anyways, it cuts straight from here, and again, we're in the middle of who knows where, in the jungle, in these little huts and stuff, and then it just cuts to a city. And now Robo Slob is chasing Pete in a city. Yeah. Like a legit 80s city. Out of nowhere. And it shows these people just kind of hobnobbing around, hanging out, trying to hook up with some ladies. And all of a sudden, you get a scene where this guy's about to kiss this girl, and she's got her eyes shut. And he looks off to the side and sees Pete's face right beside hers. And he goes, "Ah!" And then Pete's hopping around town, and Robo Slob's walking with his gun after him, and people act like they don't care, like it's not a big deal, everything's normal.
He's like, so they're all like, one day they'll call this cosplay. I've seen the future.
It doesn't make any sense. Then there's like this crossover bridge that they go on, and Pete takes a couple of hostages, and
I know you keep referring to Pete, and if anybody's forgotten at this point, the vampire monkey took people hostage. Joke, as long as because you keep saying Pete, but I want people to remember that this is the vampire gorilla.
Right. And then it gets back to another situation where now we're back to where there's 4 vampires around RoboCop, and they're going around, and he kicks one of them so hard that it starts spitting up worms. So again, it just don't make any sense. And then you got the 2 American dudes here again.
Yeah, for some reason.
That was weird. I didn't understand why they brought them back, because they hadn't been a part of the movie since the very beginning.
Right. So they're there, and they're bringing out the guns, and they're trying to help the vampires win, I guess. I really don't know at this point.
Well, yeah, the way this ending goes, it's kind of like you don't know who you're rooting for or who you're supposed to root for.
And then out of nowhere, Alanis Morissette pops back in, and her and Groucho start fighting again.
To the ghost.
She's the ghost. And she rips open her shirt, and boob flashes him, and then she throws what she ripped off over his head. And then Groucho like punches her in the chest and kills her, supposedly. then Groucho and the 4 vamps are fighting RoboCop, and Pete comes out with his bottle rockets again, and he shoots. Just the scene where Peter, the gorilla vampire. You can't even make that up. Peter, the gorilla vampire. He just raises his hands and shoots sparklers out of his sleeves like 12 times in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all notice that? He just keeps doing it. I'm like, well, it didn't work your first time, Pete. Try it again.
It's like
Nope,
your
I think
drunk
you're getting
uncle on the
closer.
4th of July.
Yeah, I'm like really surprised his robe didn't catch fire at one point. Like, it's just...
Yeah. And then out of nowhere, you got Groucho over here, and he starts doing some kind of spell. And then Alanis Morissette walks up behind him and kills him.
Like, touches him on the eyes or some shit? Like...
Yeah. Yeah.
She did warn him, though. She before she kills him, she shouts, "You ought to know." And just... Isn't it ironic? No, nothing in this movie's ironic at all. Nothing.
And then that's when Robo sets Pete on fire, and then the movie goes off.
Yeah.
In that order.
It literally does. It just ends. It's just, yeah, we're done.
It has that, like, really bright, like, pinkish, like, salmon-colored title card at the end that just doesn't go with the movie at all. It's like, well, the end.
So there you go, folks. I mean, that is Robo Vampire. It makes... There's not a lick of sense in this movie.
I don't think I was ever fully on board rooting for Robo Slop. I think that I was more rooting for Titty Ghost and Peter the Gorilla Vampire.
Right.
I was definitely rooting for Titty Ghost.
Oh, yeah.
Well, like I said, I mean, the most excited I got in the movie is when he got blew up with the bazooka, and I was like, now we're talking. I just wanted to see when he brings him back, and the guy that gave him the right to take Tom and make Robo out of him, like, you said it was going to be a success.
It's like, we have change. We can reassemble.
We have the technology, kinda. I bought a waffle iron. That'll upgrade him.
We have gray spray paint and garbage bags. We can rebuild him.
It's terrible, man. I mean, it's the outfit alone. I can't believe that they said, yes, let's go with that look.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, good lessons from bad movies. You guys get anything from this one?
Good Lord.
Oh, I think the first thing you got to know is you don't bring a tinfoil suit to a bazooka fight, because that thing going to blow up. And I mean, the only other thing I can think of is being murdered is fine as long as you're married to your gorilla groom first. You know, like you.
Well, as long as you consummated it.
Yeah, you know, as long as you do the nasty first, it's fine to get killed by a Robo Slob. It's fine.
I learned that it's a better idea to carry around a pocket full of heroin instead of carrying around some rice powder, because vampires will definitely attack you if you carry rice powder around.
Makes me wonder if that cross was actually full of heroin or if it was full of rice powder to keep vampires away. Because, you know, he's a priest. You think he's, like, fighting the undead and shit, right?
Sure. Good
That's
point.
funny.
They didn't test it to see.
No, they didn't. They just assumed and killed the poor guy.
For me, never put your crotch near a sleeping vampire's face when it has a lit cigarette in its mouth. And if you want to bribe someone, just throw money at them. Like, literally throw the money at them.
That's just a fucking boss move right there. That's the power move. That's just...
Well, so what were they thinking?
Where to begin?
Yeah.
I know we do the Improve It as well. This kind of just ties in. It's like, I understand there's the very least 2 other movies spliced together here. Why do that? Why throw so much? Like, you've bought the rights to, like, 2 other movies. Why throw so much plot and so many characters into this when you could have just filmed a couple extra scenes and just finished one of these films? Like,
yeah,
it's just, they did way too much. Like, the most ambitious piece of trash I've ever seen.
I think it's because of the fact of, again, they went and they watched RoboCop. They had to get some of these ideas. And the fact of there's a lot of drug smuggling and everything going on in RoboCop. Hey, I just happen to have these movies that's about drug smuggling. We can use the footage from that. And I guarantee you that's the conversation that got it started until they start putting it together and it's like, yeah, I don't think this story's going to work at all. Yeah, but who cares?
We'll fix it in post.
The one thing for me is there were several times when characters were like speaking like auctioneers, like the Micro Machine guy. Like, it's like, dude, just come on, slow down the lines a little bit. It sounded like they were doing some lines before delivering lines.
That opening line that we heard Alanis Morissette say, how dare you take my husband and blah, 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 blah.
There's no commas. Like, she probably read a script where there was literally no commas. It was just like a stream of consciousness paragraph.
What about upgrades?
I mean, just pick a movie and stick with it. I mean, there's potentially good movies here, like a story about drug dealers who are encountering vampires, or just stick with the one where drug dealers are using vampires to scare away attention, like they're using like the legend of vampires to scare away people from their activities, and then hey, real vampires show up or something like that. Like that's kind of cool. I mean, like, we don't even need RoboCop or whatever, like honestly, I mean it's amusing that there's a RoboCop ripoff in this, but you don't need it.
I think for me, you could have just left one part of the movie or one of the movies of the three out and just narrowed it down to us. Because then you'd eliminate about 15 characters that you don't need, because that's what keeps you confused, because you can't keep up with all the different locations and all the characters, and they all start running together and they never meet face to face. So you could cut, like I said, a whole section of this out and get rid of, the McKenzie brothers and all that stuff. I mean, you don't need all that.
Oh, man. For me, I thought they should have either more Titty Ghost or a Titty Ghost spinoff.
Yeah. I mean, a whole Titty Ghost series would be something I'd be into watching.
A series would be great.
Emmanuel meets Titty Ghost. I mean, come on.
All right, man. Fun stuff.
The bus. Where do you sit it, man?
I'm going to sit it in the middle of the end half of the bus, I think, is kind of where I'm going to sit it, because it is super confusing. Yeah. But, I mean, there's enough stuff here that's amusing and funny and just makes you do a double take that it's worth watching at least once.
Yeah.
It's kind of it kind of is a crap classic. It really is. It's one of those ones where, this is the kind of stuff that people who try to make like shitty movies these days intentionally, they try to capture this kind of thing, and they almost always fail. And
because the charm's not there.
No, Robo Vamp is an absolute disaster, but much like a samurai cop, it's a disaster that's at least an honest one. So there you go.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I would say next to the last seat. It's not all the way in the back, because I have watched this thing 4 times now.
Holy crap.
And I still didn't know what was going on yesterday after it was my 3rd time of watching it, going into the 4th. And I'm still stopping the movie and going, now, what was that? So, yeah, next to last for me. I mean, I've always kind of gone back and at least want to see parts of it just because. Yeah. So
I think this is a movie that you could have fun with if you had people over for like a get together and stuff. But I would also say the second to last seat, just because I watched it twice, and I don't know how you did 4 times, but there were. I feel like the second time I watched it, I had even more questions. Like the first time I'm writing notes, the second time I'm like, well, what the hell, man? Like a lot of this crap's just like. But hearing you guys say that it was several different movies spliced together, I mean, it makes sense that there's not really any cohesive plot or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it sounds like this director or the producer, whichever, is kind of a Corman kind of guy. So apparently he was cranking out 15 movies in a week. So,
Yeah.
you know, there's probably a lot of these that were just thrown together, get it out there as fast as possible. Hey, RoboCop won't be into this nation for another 3 weeks, so let's make this movie and get it out there first.
Exactly.
You know, that kind of idea, you know. So, yeah, a little exploitation, you know, mastery from overseas. So that's kind of how I look at this being put together, and you get some of those beautiful accidents that happen. Every once in a while you strike gold with them, but most times it's going to be stuff that's just subpar.
Yeah.
Well, we're definitely going to have to do the sequel to this. I mean, and
I agree.
And
I agree.
Lee, you can come back to talk about that if you want me, because I have a feeling that'd be a fun talk.
Yeah, I'd be up for that, man.
All right, so what we're going to do right now, we're going to take a little short break, and we will be right back, people.
Get out of the way!
This is a test of the emergency podcasting system. Listen to the Psychosemantic Podcast. Politics, movies, and political movies. Find us on Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher, LegionPodcasts.com. The Psychosemantic Podcast.
Hey, you guys!
All right, folks, there you go. Another fun-filled episode of Short Bus. Hey, if you enjoyed this, we recommend, all three of us, we recommend that you don't really go watch this movie. But if you want to, you can go to YouTube, type in Robo Vampire, and I promise you it'll pop up. And we are talking about maybe jumping in and doing part 2 here pretty soon. So if you enjoyed this episode, just jump on Facebook, let us know if you've got ideas for some movies that you think is worse than Robo Vampire, or just as bad, or just as good, however you look at it. Just drop us a line and we'll say, yeah, we're not covering that, we're going to cover something else. No, man, we want you to throw them at us and test our nerves, because that's kind of what this thing was built on. But I had a blast with this one. This was a lot of work. It's a lot of work to sit through this movie and jot down everything that happens, because it's not worth writing down. But I went through the pain of it just so you can understand just how big of a car wreck this movie is. But it's still got some charming elements to it.
Yeah.
You guys got anything else you want to add to it?
I'll just say you did a fantastic job, Ricky, sticking with this and actually, going into detail of your notes, because I don't think I would have had that dedication trying to summarize this thing. It's just, yeah.
Well, before I did this, I was told by the people that hired me that, they would pay me $1 million, but, the association's only going to pay me about $20,000 to do it. So
you got to get a better agency, I guess, is what happens.
Oh, yep. So you folks, like I said, thanks for listening. Check out all the other shows. I've got some new shows that are coming out. Matter of fact, I don't know when this show's going to drop just yet, but I've got a new show with Billy Stewart from Scary Dad Podcast. He called me up and wanted me to be a co-host of his. So he's putting together a production, and that show is going to be on Legion as well, and it's called You Know What's Awesome. And it's just kind of covering many decades, many different things, nothing in particular. First episode, we kicked it off with Karate Kid, and then the next episode, I think, jumps into, like, The Mandalorian. And it just, it's like squirrel tails from there. It goes to Saturday morning cartoons, to albums, complete albums that, that made an impact on us, bands, music, instruments. It's a whole ball of wax. And he kind of come up with the idea, asked me to come along, and we've already recorded 4 episodes, but it should be dropping this week.
Wow.
So if you guys already listen to this, chances are they're probably already out there. If you want to check those out. Let's see what else. Johnny and I are also on House of Wax, which we haven't recorded anything in a while because of the same situation. We haven't done a short bus. Just busy and trying to get everybody's schedule together. But we got some surprises lined up we just lost Stuart Gordon, and we were trying to do a salute to Stuart and cover a couple of things there. That's in the works. Also, the movie Ready or Not, which we're all big fans of. And going to try to cover those too. And what you got? What you got? Anything else, Lee? I know you talked about your wide span of silent films all the way to current.
Yeah. Again, depending on when this drops, I'll either still be doing silent films on They Must Be Destroyed on Sight, or we're going to time travel to 1985 for episode 200. And we're going to be doing George Romero's Day of the Dead, and then we're going to stay in the 80s for a little while, like a month, just to take a break from doing like a 4-month stretch of silent films. So, we're taking a little break there, and hopefully get some guests on there. Hint, hint. That's kind of your decade, so maybe we should talk.
Yeah. Well, and of course, Johnny and I both. I mean. So, interesting question. Of course, Day of the Dead is my favorite of the trilogy.
Me too.
As far as Romero. That's my favorite. Yours too, Johnny?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
No wonder we're brothers. That was my favorite of the bunch. So, yeah.
So, maybe...
Yeah.
Well,
hey.
See if we can get some schedules together.
That would be fantastic. So, be on the lookout for that, possibly, folks. Can't promise anything, though. But if not, we'll definitely have Robo Vampire Part 2.
Don't sound so
Yay!
excited.
Guys, y'all got anything else?
No.
All right, piss on it then. See you later, folks.
Peace.